we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about solutions with two variables. So instead of just having one variable now, we're going to have two variables. So when working with equations that contain more than one variable, there's often more than one solution. Solutions can be expressed using ordered pairs when the equation contains two variables. All the solutions to an equation are called the solution set. So we know that already from past lessons, that all the solutions that we have for a specific equation are part of the solution set. But in this case, our solution set that we have is going to be in two variables now. So what do we know about the graphs of an equation of ax plus by is equal to c? Well, hopefully from 8th grade, we learned that the graph of ax plus by equal to c is a line. So we know that it's a line. So we're going to use that same thing. So let's look at exercise 1. Exercise 1 says circle all the ordered pairs x, y that are solutions to the equation 4x minus y is equal to 10. And remember, with an ordered pair that we have, we know that it's always x, y. So each one of these beginning, so we have x, y, x, and a y, an x and a y, and an x and a y. So each one of these is x, y, x, y, x, y, x, y, x, y, x, y. So if we have this equation, 4x minus y is equal to 10, all we have to do is substitute the first variable in for x, the second one in for y. So let's go through and do that for each one of these and see if we get a correct solution. So let's look at this first one. I'm going to use 3 and 2. So x is going to be 3, y is going to be 2. So if I look at this, I'm going to first write the equation. So I'll have 4x minus y is equal to 10. And where I have x, I'm going to substitute in 3. So I'll have 4 times 3 minus my y of 2 is equal to 10. And then I want to simplify that left side and see if I can get 10. So 4 times 3 is 12 minus 2 is equal to 10. And we know that 12 minus 2 is equal to 10. So we know that that one's going to be a solution. Let's try the next one, 2, 3. So we know that 2 is going to be x, 3 is going to be y. So if I have 4x minus y is equal to 10, and I have x is 2, y is 3, so I'm just going to substitute in for x, 2, minus y is 3, is equal to 10. 4 times 2 is 8. So if we substitute in 2 for x and 3 for y, that's what we would get. And we want to simplify the left side and see if we can get 10. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 3 is equal to 10. And we know that 8 minus 3 is not equal to 10, so that would not be a solution. So we can put an x through it. Now let's go on to our next one. We have negative 1, negative 14. So again, I'm going to write my equation. 4x minus y is equal to 10. Here I'm going to substitute in negative 1 for x, negative 14 for y. So I would get 4 times negative 1 minus a negative 14 is equal to 10. 4 times negative 1 is a negative 4. Negative times 14 is plus 14. And if we have negative 4 plus 14, we get 10 is equal to 10. And we know that it works. So 1, negative 14 is a solution. So I can circle it. Let's go on to the next one, 0, 0. So if I plug in 0 for x and 0 for y, we want to see if we can get 10. 4 times 0 is 0, minus 0, we get 10. We know that 0 minus 0 is not equal to 10. So 0, 0 will not be a solution. If we have 1, we're going to substitute in for x, negative 6 for y. So we're going to get 4 times 1 minus a negative 6 and see if that's equal to 10. 4 times 1 is just 4, minus a negative 6 is plus 6, is equal to 10, and we know that 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. So that will be our solution. Okay, now let's move on to this 5, 10. So I'm going to substitute in 5 for x, 10 for y. So I get 4 times 5 minus 10 is equal to 10. 4 times 5 is 20. So I get 20 minus 10 is equal to 10. And we know that that's true. So 5, 10 is going to be our another solution that we have. Now let's try 0, negative 10. So I'm going to substitute in 0 for x, negative 10 for y. So I'll have 4 times 0 minus 10 is equal to 10. 4 times 0 is 0, minus 10. We know that that's not going to be equal to 10. So that will not be our solution. Oops. Actually, if we look at that, we're substituting in negative 10 here. So we have 4 times 0 minus a negative 10 is equal to 10. So we get 0 negative minus a negative 10 is plus 10, and we know that that's equal to 10. So now this will be our solution. Now let's try 3, 4. So I'm just going to go up here. So I'm just going to slide this down. So we have 3, 4. So here I'm going to substitute in 3 for x, 4 for y. So I'll just go up here. 4 times 3 minus 4 is equal to 10. 4 times 3 is 12, minus 4 is equal to 10. We know that that's not equal to 10, so that won't work. Now let's try 6, 0. So we're going to have 4 times 6 minus 0 is equal to 10. 4 times 6 is 24, minus 0 is equal to 10. We know that that's not equal, so that won't be a solution. And then if we have 4 times 4 minus a negative 1 is equal to 10. 4 times 4 is 16, minus a negative 1 is plus 1, and we know that that's not equal to 10. So that won't be our solution. So if we look at our ordered pairs here, we only have the solution set of 3, 2, negative 1, negative 14, 1, negative 6, 5, 10, 0, negative 10. So out of all of those solutions, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solutions. Okay? And they ask us, how do you decide whether or not an ordered pair was a solution to the equation? Well, all we did was substitution. We substituted in our variable for x and for y and saw that if this equation 4x minus y is in fact equal to 10. Okay, so let's go on to example 2, or exercise 2. Exercise 2 says they want us to discover as many solutions to the equation 4x minus y is equal to 10 as possible. Consider the best way to organize your solutions you have found. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation 4x minus y is equal to 10. Okay? And we want to find as many as possible. So what I want to do first is I want to solve this equation for y, because then I could use my calculator. So let's look at this. If I was taking this 4x minus y is equal to 10, and I want to solve it just for y, I'm going to subtract 4x, subtract 4x. 4x minus 4x will cancel. I'll just get negative y is equal to negative 4x plus 10. If I want to get what y is, I'm going to divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, and I get y is equal to negative 4x divided by negative 1 is positive 4x. Positive 10 divided by negative 1 is a minus 10. So we get that y is equal to 4x minus 10. Now if I wanted to come up with solutions for this equation, I'm going to use my calculator here. So if I'm using my calculator, I'll just zoom out a little bit. So if I'm using my calculator, I have this equation right here. I turn my calculator on, put the on button, on. So my calculator is on now. I'm going to go to this y equals button, click this y equals button. This screen will pop up. My y1 is going to be my equation. My equation that I want is 4x minus 10. So I'm going to substitute in 4x minus 10. That will be my equation. Once I have that equation in there, above this up here it says table. I can get a table of values that are a solution to both the equations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the second button, then the graph button. That will give me my table of values. They give me an x and a y that are both solutions. X and y. X and y. Each one of these is a solution to the equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write these table of values on my paper here. So I'm going to make an XY chart. And then I'm going to go through and just write in each one of these that I have. So I have 0, negative 10. There's one solution. 1, negative 6. 2, negative 2. 3, 2. And then I'm just going to go straight through here. And then I'll have 4, 6, and 5, 10. And I could keep going on and on, because if I just keep pushing down, I can keep getting more and more solutions to this equation. But I only needed a couple. So looking at this, the best way to organize our solutions we found out was in a table of values here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to plot these points. Because it says how many ordered pairs x, y will be the solution set to the equation 4x minus y is equal to 10. Well, we saw that in my calculator, if I just keep going down, I'm going to keep getting more and more solutions. So if I look at this, how many ordered pairs x, y will be a solution set to the equation 4x minus y is equal to 10? There's an infinite amount of solutions. Because I keep going on and on and on with my table if I wanted to. They want us to create a visual representation of the solution set by plotting each solution as a point x, y on the coordinate plane. So let's go through and do that. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to label my coordinate plane. Okay, so I know that my axis that I have go from 0 to 5. So I'm going to go on my x-axis, I'll always go, this will be positive x, negative x. So I start by labeling my x and my y. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and label my axes. So I'm just going to go up by, so since I have 10 boxes here, and I only have to go up to 5, I'm going to skip every other. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then I could go the other way. Since I was going up by 1 in the positive direction, I have to go up by 1 in the negative direction. So I'm going to go negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Okay? And then in the y, I'm going to go up by 1. Well, in the y, I'm going to go up, since I have to go all the way up to negative 10, or down to negative 10, up to positive 10, I'm just going to go up by 2's. And the same thing down below. So it would be negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I want us to create a visual representation of a solution by plotting each solution as a point x, y in the coordinate plane. So I have 0, negative 10. So in the x, I'm going to go 0, and I'm going to go up to, or down to negative 10. So if I look at this, I'll have 0, and then I'm going to go 0 on the x and go down to negative 10. So that would be this point right here. And then I have 1, negative 6, so I have 1. I'm going to go down to negative 6, put a point. And then I have 2, negative 2, so I'm going to go over 2, down 2. So it'll be 2, negative 2. And then I have 3, positive 2. And then I have 4, positive 6. And then I have 5, 10. So now I plotted my points in the coordinate plane. So now look at this. For D, it says, why does it make sense to represent the solution to the equation 4x minus y is equal to 10 as a line on the coordinate plane? Well, let's take a ruler or some kind of straight edge that we have and see if we can connect these with a straight line. And if you look at these, every single point can be on a line. So let's draw in that line. So each one of these points is going to be on the specific line. And then what we could do is label that line. So we know that this line is going to be 4x minus y is equal to 10. Or we can label it either as the 4x minus y is equal to 10 or y is equal to 4x minus 10. Okay? So why does it make sense? Because if we have two coordinates to, we're going to have 2 dimensions. And that's why when we have 2 variables, we should have 2 dimensions. Or 2 coordinates to our solution. Okay? So now I'm going to move on to the next example. The next example says, they say the sum of 2 numbers is 25. And they say, what are the numbers? They want us to first, A, create an equation using 2 variables to represent this situation. And be sure to explain the meaning of each variable. So let's first off, it says, we know that the sum of 2 numbers. So let's just say, let x equal the first number. And we're going to say y is equal to the second number. And if we have that the sum, so we have up here it says the sum of the 2 numbers, that would be addition. So we're going to say the sum of the 2 numbers, so it would be x plus y is equal to 25. Okay? Because it says the sum of 2 numbers, so we have x plus y, is equal 25. So, if we looked at this, they want us to list at least 6 solutions to the equation you created in part A. So basically what we're going to do first is take this equation, solve for x, y, or solve for y. So we have x plus y is equal to 25. We're going to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract x. Subtract x. I get y is equal to negative x plus 25. So now what I'm going to do is in my calculator here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the y equals, hit clear to clear out my y1, and then I'm going to put negative x plus 25 into my calculator. So if I'm doing this, I'm going to have negative, make sure you're using the negative key and not the minus key, x plus 25. And if we look at that, now we're going to go and try to get a table of values. So if we have a table of values, again, it will be above the graphing key. I have to hit second and then graph. That will give me my table of values. So what I want to do is I want to take this table of values and write it on the side. But what I'm going to do is I want to go up on the x, I'm going to go up by 5s. So that's what I'm going to do. So I start with x, my xy chart. So I'm going to start with 0, 25. Then I'm going to go down to 5. So I know that at 5, it'll be 20. So it'll be 5, 20. Now let's go down to 10. It'll be 10, 15. And then we'll go up to 15. It'll be at 10. Now let's go up to 20. So it'll be, again, I could just extend this. It'll be 25. And then let's go up to 25. Then it'll be 25, 0. Okay, so there's my table of values. Each table of values gives me a solution. X, Y, X, Y, X, Y, X, Y, X, Y, X, Y. So now what I want to do is it says, so we wanted at least 6 solutions. We came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So because I went up by 5s, now I have 6 solutions. They want us to create a graph that represents the solution set to the equation. So let's go over here and look at this graph. So it's going to be 0, 25, 5, 20, 10, 15, 15, 10, 25, and 25, 0. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up, since we went up by 5s in the x, that's what I'm going to do over here. So I'm going to go up by 5s. 10, 15, 20, 25. And I'm going to do the same thing in my y. But with my y, since I'm starting at 25 and I go to 0, I can also go up by 5s. So I'm going to go up 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then we could go down negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, negative 25. And the same thing over here. Negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, negative 25. So now I have my axes labeled. I also want to label that this is the x and that this is the y. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot these points on this coordinate plane. So I'm going to start with 0, 25. So I go 0 in the x up to 25. I'm going to put my point right there. Then I have 5, 20. So I go over to 5, up to 20. Then I have 10, 15. $15, 10. So we go 15 in the y, 10 in the y. Then I go 20 in the x, 5 in the y. And then I have 25, 0. So right there, I would have my graph. I'm going to connect them, see if they can connect with a line. So I will. I can connect them with a line. So draw the line. And then I'm going to label my line. I'm just going to label it as y is equal to negative x plus 25. Okay? Alright, so now let's move on. We're going to use the same example, but now we're going to relate it to real life. So let's look at this. Exercise 4. It says Gia has 25 songs in a playlist composed of songs for her 2 favorite artists, Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez. How many songs did she have by each one of the playlists? So basically we want to figure out how many songs she has of a Beyonce, how many songs she has of Jennifer Lopez. So for A, they want us to create an equation using two variables to represent the situation. So basically what we have to do is we just have to have our let statement. Whoops. So it's going to say let X represent, we'll say Beyonce, and let Y represent, excuse me, Y represents Jennifer Lopez. Okay, so then looking at this, if we're going to add these two together, X plus Y has to be 25. Because she has 25 songs in a playlist composed of songs by Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez. So we know that the number of Beyonce plus the number of Jennifer Lopez has to equal the 25 songs she has in the playlist. So for part B, it says list at least 3 solutions to the equation that you've created in part A. Well, basically what we can do is we're still going to have the same solutions as we had above. Except for in this case, we want to look at, so for, let's go back to this. It's going to be different than exercise 3 because if we think about it, we want to know, can we have any negative solutions? And if we look at that, we could not have any negative solutions because it wouldn't make sense for her to have negative songs of Beyonce or negative songs of Jennifer Lopez. So we couldn't have negative songs. So we couldn't have negative songs. We have to have a positive number of songs in our playlist. Okay? The second thing that we want to look at is, can we have decimal solutions? So, can you have half of a song or a quarter of a song? You can't. So we're going to say no. Because, again, you can't have a half of a song, a quarter of a song on a playlist. You have to have the whole song or either not have the song at all. So let's look at this. So to find at least 3 solutions to our equation, I'm just going to go over here and draw our X, Y chart. So basically what I can do is I can use my chart from before. So let me just zoom out a little bit so we can have both charts. So we're going to have this XY chart right here. 0, 25, 5, 20, 10, 15, 15, 10, 25, 25, 0. And each one of those solutions that we had above can be a solution down here because we don't have any negative solutions in our chart and we don't have any decimals in our chart. So I'm just going to rewrite that whole chart. So let's just go 0, 25. So now let's just look at this. Let's go through. Let's look at our calculator. So in this case, actually we could just do 5, 20, 10, 15, 15, 10, 25, and 25, 0. So they say they want us to find at least 3 solutions. I came up with 6 solutions from the problem from before. So now what we're going to do is we're going to graph these solutions. Okay? So I'm just going to basically make my coordinates the same as I did above. So in the x, I'm going to go up by 5s. So I'll have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And go up by 5s again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And go down by 5s. So minus 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, negative 25. Do the same thing this way. Negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, negative 25. So looking at this, now I'm going to plot these points, 0, 25. 5, 20. 10, 15. 15, 10. 25 and 25, 0. So looking at this, would we want to connect them with a line? Well, if we're not including our decimal solutions here, we shouldn't connect them with a line. Because if we connect them with a line, that's saying that there's decimal solutions. But then we want to look at, is there any more solutions besides these solutions that we had right here? So basically, what we're going to look at is, let's look back at our calculator. So we have y equals, we have negative x plus 25. That's the same equation that we had before. Now let's go back to our table. So if we look at this, we know that x can only range from 0 to 25, and we know that y can only range from 0 to 25, because there's only 25 songs total. So if we look at this, 0, 25 means that there's 0 songs that are Beyonce, 25 songs for Jennifer Lopez. And we know that there's a finite amount of solutions to this problem. So we're going to have 0, 25, 1, 24, 2, 23, 3, 22, 4, 21, and so on, all the way down till we get to x is 25. So we're basically going to only have 25 solutions to this equation. Okay? So now let's look at exercise 5 really quick. It says compare solutions to exercise 3 and 4. How are they alike? How are they different? We can say that exercise 4 had restrictions due to the real life scenario. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the last exercise that we have. The last exercise says that we have the math club. Here. So we have the math club sells hot dogs at a school fundraiser. The club earns $108 and has a combination of $5 and $1 bills in the cash box. Possible combinations of the bills are listed in the table below. So they have the number of $5 bills, the number of $1 bills, and then their total amount that they had was $108. So, if we're looking at this, we had 19 $5 bills, 13 $1 bills. So basically, since they have $5 bills, so it'll be 5 times $19 plus, since it's $1, 1 times 13 is going to equal 108. So now let's go through and make sure that 1628 will be a solution, 1153 will be a solution, 488. So basically, if we have 16 $5 bills, we're going to do 5 times 16 plus 1 times 28 and see if that equals 108. And if we go through in our calculator, I'm going to do 5 times 16 plus 1 times 28, and we see that it gets 108. So now let's try the same thing with 11. So we're going to have 5 times 11 plus 1 times this 53. And see if that equals 108. And then we're also going to have 5 times 4 plus 1 times 88. And we want to see if that is equal to 108. So now let's go through and check those last two. So we're going to have 5 times 11 plus 1 times 53. And that's equal to 108. So we know that this one works. Now let's try this one. So we're going to have 5 times 4 plus 1 times 88. And that's also going to be 108. So we know that their table of values has the solution. So for A, they want us to find one more combination of 1s and 5s that totals $108. So I'm just going to have our variables first. So I'm just going to pick x and y. Let x equal the number of $5 bills, and y is going to equal the number of $1 bills. Okay? So they say they want us to write an equation. But remember, since we have the number of $5 bills, we took our x here, multiplied it by 5, took our y here, and multiplied it by 1 to equal 108. So our equation is going to be 5 times x plus 1 times y is equal to 108. So basically, we know that 5x plus 1y is equal to 108. They want us to find one more combination of 1s and 5s that totals to 108. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and solve for y. So I'm going to take this up here, and I'm going to solve for y. So I have 5x plus y is equal to 108. So I'm going to subtract 5x, subtract 5x. So we get y is equal to negative 5x plus 108. So there's our solution right there. So to find one more combination that we had, we're going to go through and look at our calculator. So we're going to go to y equals. We're going to type in our equation, which is negative 5x plus 108. So we'll have negative 5x plus 108. And then we go to our table of values, and we have all sorts of values that we could have. So we could have 0, 108. We can have 1, 103. So I'm just going to start writing these over here. 0, 108, 1, 103, 2, 98, and we can keep going on and on forever. But 0, 108 is one more combination. So is 1, 103, and we can keep writing all these. But they only wanted one more combination. But it says here, for B, it says the graph of 5x, so I'm just going to zoom in now. The graph, or the equation, 5x plus 1y is equal to 108, represents this situation. A graph of the line y is equal to negative 5x plus 108 is shown. So they already graphed it for you. They want us to verify each ordered pair in the table lies on the line. So again, I'm just going to write my x, y chart from the table above. So we just have x, y. So again, up here, we have 19, 13. So we're going to have 19, 13. 16, 28. 11, 53. And 4, 88. So they want us to verify that these are solutions on this line that they drew. So let's look at this. They have 19, 13. So I'm going to go over to about 19, go up to about 13. I'm just going to call that A. So this first one, I'll just go call that A. 16, 28, we're going to call that B. So 16, so about a little bit more than halfway, up to 28. So about there. That will be point B. Point C is 1153, so I go a little bit past 11, up to about 53. So that will be point C. 488, so about here, a little bit less than halfway between 0 and 10, up to about 88. So that will be point D. And I just verify that each one of those points is on that line. So now let's look at this. So going back to this chart, since we have A, B, C, and D, I want to label this first one A, the second one B, the third one C, and the last one D. That way I know what my ordered pairs are. And the last thing that we're going to do today, it says what is the meaning between the variables x and y and the numbers 1, 5, and 108 in the equation 5x plus 1y is equal to 108. Well, if we look at this, 5 is just the dollar amount of a $5 bill. The 1 is again the dollar amount of a $1 bill. And the 108 is the total amount of money. So, looking at this, the lesson summary. It's the last thing that we're going to look at. An ordered pair is a solution to a two-variable equation. Okay, when each number is substituted into its corresponding variable, makes the equation a true number sentence. All of the solutions to a two-variable equation are called the solution set. Each ordered pair of numbers in solution sets of the equations correspond to a point on the coordinate plane. The set of all such points in the coordinate plane are called the graph of the equation. Okay? And that would be the end of lesson 20.